Good evening. I'd like to tell you a little story that my father had told me when I was a little girl. It's about a woodcutter. This woodcutter was married and he had a large family. And the way he supported his family, he had this very long wood, and at the top of the wood it was an axe, a very, very sharp axe. And he would take this axe and he would chop down wood. So he would go early in the morning before the sun was up, and he would go into the forest and go by the big trees, chop down the trees, chop down the leaves of the trees, break the wood down, put it on his wagon, take the wagon to the stores and sell the wood to different people. The wood was used to put in wood in a stone oven to warm up food and to cook food on. They needed the wood to start the fire to cook because they didn't have stoves like we have now. Today we just go and we put on a button. But back then they used to have stones all around, and they would put the wood inside the stone, and they would light the fire, the wood, and then they would put the pots that they're cooking on that wood to cook, and that's the way they cooked. So anyway, this woodcutter who had many children and a wife, and he made his living by chopping wood, selling the wood at the market, getting that money, bringing it home, and with that money, the wife would go buy food and clothes and things like that. So one day, he was doing his job. He took his wagon, he took his huge axe with the wood, and went to the forest. That morning, it was very cold and very windy, and there was fog all over. So much fog, you couldn't see really where you're going. It was very, very foggy. And he went with his wagon and his horse, and he went, and finally came to the forest, and there was also snow everywhere, and it was just so cold, and it felt like the wind was just going through his jacket and through the collar everywhere. It was very, very cold. But he got to the forest and he started chopping. And he was getting the trees and trimming them and cutting the logs and putting the logs onto the wagon. And he was about to cut his last tree. And as he was cutting it, the axe flew off. And it flew right into the river. Now that river was so cold because there was snow everywhere. And the river was rushing, freezing cold water. The river was moving very, very fast, and it was very cold. And he began to cry, so what am I going to do? How am I going to make parnasa? How am I going to make a livelihood? I have no axe. My axe is in the river. It just fell down. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And all of a sudden came a man, an old man with a long white beard. And the old man said to the young man, the woodcutter, "What's wrong?" And the woodcutter says, "I was chopping wood and my axe fell into the water. And now I can't chop any wood down because I don't have an axe and I don't have money to buy an axe." So the old man says, "Not to worry, I'll take care of it." The old man took off his jacket in the winter time, and he jumped into the freezing water. To the rushing water, went all the way down. He took out a beautiful golden axe. The handle of the axe was made out of gold. And And he says to him, "Is this your axe?" And the man says, "No, I'm sorry. That is not my axe." So the man says, "Not to worry, I'll go look again." So he goes back into the river, the freezing cold river, and he comes out and he brings him a silver axe. It's made out of silver, the metal silver. It's so beautiful and so shiny. Almost looks white, but it's really silver. So the man says, "No, I'm sorry. The gold axe is not mine, and the silver one is not mine." He says, "Okay, not to worry." Jumps back in to the water, the old man, and he brings a brass axe. And he says, "This your axe?" He says, "Oh my gosh, that's a beautiful axe, but I'm sorry, that's not mine either." The old man says, "Not to worry, I'll take care of you." Goes back down into the freezing river again and brings back the wooden axe. And the woodcutter is so happy. He says, "Yes, yes, yes, yes." And he starts hugging the man. He says, "Yes, that's it, that's it. That is the wooden axe. That's mine, that's mine. Thank you for bringing it to me." And the old man says, "Because you told me the truth, I'm going to give you the golden axe. I'm going to give you the wooden axe, and I'm going to give you the brass axe. You could take all, and your own, you could have all 4 axes with you." And the young woodcutter was so happy. He said, "Thank you so much." And he went on his wagon and he went home, and then he sold his gold and the silver and the brass axe, and he got a lot of money. Bought a beautiful, prestigious house. And with that house and the money, he always had guests at his house, or, people that are poor that couldn't make Shabbos themselves or didn't have food. He always make sure to have guests at his house, and his children had plenty of money and had money for education and for clothes and for food, and the wife was happy. They were living a good life. The neighbor saw, "Hey, how come he got all that money? Where did he get all that money from?" So he comes knocking on the door. He says, "Hey, how'd you get that? What happened?" So he told him the truth. "I went with my wagon early in the morning to chop down wood, but my wooden axe fell into the water, and then all of a sudden this old man came and he gave me a gold and silver and a brass axe, and he gave me mine as well. So I took it and that I sold it, and that's how I got all this money." He says, "That's a good idea. Thank you." So this man, who's the neighbor, takes his wagon and his horse and goes to the forest. At the forest, he pretends to chop down the wood. So he takes his axe and he throws it into the freezing, rushing, cold river. And he pretends to cry, "Oh, what am I going to do? My axe is in the river. Oh, gee, what am I going to do? My axe is in the river. I can't chop down trees now. What should I do?" So the old man comes again with a long white beard, and he says, "What's wrong?" And he says, "Well, my axe is in the river." He says, "Okay, not to worry." He goes back in to the freezing cold water, takes out a golden axe. He says, "Is this yours?" He says, "No, that's not mine." Okay. Jumps back into the river, brings the silver axe. He says, "Is this yours?" He says, "No, it's not." And he jumps back into the water again, and he brings the brass axe. He says, "Is this yours?" And he says, "No, that's not mine either." The old man jumps into the freezing water again and brings back this wooden axe. He says, "Yes, that's mine." So the old man looks at the man and says, you know, you threw your axe into that river on purpose. And because you did it on purpose, you are not getting any axes. You're not getting the gold, you're not getting the silver, you're not getting the brass, and you're not getting yours either because you did it on purpose. It's so important to tell the truth. It's so important to walk on the right path and do the right thing. I hope you enjoyed this story, and you'll stay tuned for the next story. Thank you.